Imagine the power grid fails everywhere on Earth, right now, in one moment. No internet, no phones, no supermarket ever opens again. Everything humanity built over the last 200 years vanishes. The real question isn't what you'd do next. It's stranger than that. Would humanity slide back into the same shape it had before, or become something nobody has ever seen? You're not actually afraid of collapse. You're afraid of being alone. That fear is ancient. Right now, without noticing, a number governs every relationship you have. Researcher Robin Dunbar found that the size of your brain sets a limit on stable relationships, roughly 150. Follow 15,000 people online, and your brain still only treats about 150 as real. That's the same size as the tribe your ancestors lived in. So if civilization fell tomorrow, you wouldn't start from zero. You'd fall back on a program installed in you before you were born, built for a small group, not a city of millions. That loneliness you feel in a crowd isn't random. It's your brain processing far more people than it was ever designed for. Would we go back to living like hunter-gatherers, or become something else entirely? Your ancestor wasn't primitive the way you picture him. Harvard researcher Richard Wrangham argued the biggest leap in human evolution wasn't tools or language. It was fire. Cooked food freed up energy that went straight to the brain. The brain worrying about deadlines today exists because of a fire in the dark, surrounded by people talking. So what's the first thing you'd do if the power failed? Look for fire. Not just for warmth. Something old in you says fire means safety. People. A story being told. Fire isn't a tool. It's home. But here's the twist. We wouldn't easily slide back into your ancestor's life because his knowledge is gone. He could identify 100 plants, read animal tracks, start a fire without a lighter. That knowledge was never written down. It passed mouth to mouth inside a tribe. Once the tribe dissolved into millions of strangers, the knowledge disappeared. Ironically, your ancestor was better equipped to survive alone than you are. Would everyone react the same way? Jared Diamond showed that how a society handles collapse depends on the environment around it, not human nature alone. Resources shape whether people cooperate or fight. So the answer isn't one shape. It would differ place to place, just as it did thousands of years ago. One thing would happen everywhere, though: hierarchy. Even with no laws left, within days you'd be following someone or leading a group. That's instinct. Anthropologist Napoleon Chagnon's research on the Yanomami shows any group, however small, forms a hierarchy fast. No group stays equal for long. Think about your job now. You have a manager, co-workers. That structure wasn't invented by companies. It's an echo of every tribe that ever lived. Your manager is a modern version of the best hunter the tribe turned to in danger. Would a child born after collapse grow up like your ancestor? No. A child isn't born with that knowledge installed. It has to be taught, person to person, year after year. If the generation holding it dies, the next is born into a world empty of those skills and has to reinvent them from scratch. Collapse wouldn't send us back to an old starting point. It would drop us into a harder new one. Civilization didn't just change the world around you. It changed how you think from the inside. Even if the walls came down, what's inside you wouldn't simply reset. And that explains something you feel every day. The loneliness in a crowd of millions. The need to sit alone in the dark just to think clearly. You're doing exactly what your ancestor did around a fire at night. Part of you is still there, even inside the tallest building in the city. Next time the world feels like too much, remember it isn't weakness. It's your ancestors' voice telling you this isn't the tribe your mind was built for. And here's the last thing. Humanity has collapsed before, more than once. The Bronze Age fell apart suddenly, around 3,000 years ago. Cities vanished, kingdoms disappeared in decades, and people thought it was the end. But humanity climbed out and built something stronger. Collapse isn't the opposite of progress. It's part of a cycle that's repeated for a very long time. Every ancestor who lived through every collapse made it through. And you exist because they did. So let's go back to where we started. Would humanity return to the same shape? It was never one shape to begin with. What would return is you, carrying everything you've gained, still searching for the same fire your ancestor once sat around, with a mind that can no longer settle for the simplicity that used to be enough.